With 2015 starting to come to a close, it's definitely time to start looking at 2016. And more importantly, it's time to start looking at the rise of the Nintendo NX. Now, we don't really know what the Nintendo NX is all about, but there's a lot of theories floating around there about it. So I decided for this week in Review, I'm going to give you my top 3 theories of what I think the NX will be. So without any further ado, let's jump into what I think the NX is going to be. My first theory on what the Nintendo NX is going to be is kind of a boring one, but, you know, it's a bit traditional. It's going to be a standard home console. Now, there's a lot of reasons for this, there's a lot of reasons against it, but taking it at face value, let's just say that that's what the Nintendo NX is going to be. Even though Nintendo themselves has said that it's going to be in an ecosystem of systems, things can change. Let's look at the Microsoft debacle with the Xbox One, where a lot of things changed right towards the beginning of the release of the system. I don't like where this is going. Alright, so the first thing I think the Nintendo NX could be is a standard home console. I know it's kind of boring, kind of traditional, but it kind of makes sense. The Wii U isn't doing all that hot, and it's pretty much coming to a close as far as we know. So, the Nintendo NX is the perfect opportunity to kind of rectify what went wrong with the Wii U. Different name, a different software system, and, newer games, trying to bring back these third-party companies. Maybe making the hardware more powerful than the Wii U was compared to the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Plus, you're releasing it kind of early into the life cycle of the PS4 and the Xbox One, so it would make sense to make a powerful traditional home console because those systems, while they've gotten good sales, don't really have too many games right now. And that's a problem with the Wii U, but when you're having Nintendo published games coming out on the system, you can get these third parties on board to port your games to their system. It makes it a lot easier. Now, reasons against this are pretty much what Nintendo themselves said, that the NX would be included in an ecosystem. Now, things can change, of course. Let's look at the Microsoft Xbox One debacle where they started to change things right before the release of the system to please fans. So things are always subject to change. Even Nintendo themselves with the Vitality sensor, the quality of life platform, things can change. So, my first thing on what the Nintendo NX could be is a traditional home console. My second theory on what the Nintendo NX could be is a pretty popular one, and that's the hybrid system theory, essentially combining the portable market and the home console market into one. Now, there's a lot of reasons this could work. You gotta remember, if you're only designing for one system, you can really ramp up the amount of games you could put out for that said system. You're not gonna have a handheld division and a home console division if you're making games for the same system. Plus, third parties have no problem putting their games on the 3DS and the portable market because it's a popular thing. You gotta remember, compare the 3DS to the Vita sales, and it's almost 3-to-1 at some point. So the 3DS is a very powerful name. Nintendo's handhelds are a very powerful thing. So combining that with the home console market and putting it into a machine that could be used at home and then you could take a portion of it with you on the road, that could be a very cool thing. Now, of course, there's a couple reasons why I don't think that this is what it is. And once again, going back to the ecosystem graph, it doesn't really fit into that. More importantly, however, though, is the whole kind of thing with the hybrid console. Because you gotta remember, a lot of third parties put their games on the 3DS because of the lower price point. The 2DS right now is only $99 in North America. The 3DS isn't much more, and the games are only $30 to $40. If you're designing something that could be used as a home console and a portable console, where do you put your price point? What's the price point of the system going to be? Because if the system itself is expensive, then you're not going to have as many games for it. If the games are also $60, there's going to be much higher sales needed to get that return that the third-party companies are looking for. Let's look at when the 3DS originally launched. It was $250 and it did not sell that well. Nintendo actually had to do a few things to entice people to bring that back. So, could it work? Yes, I think it could, but is it a plausible theory? I don't know. It's just a theory. So, you let me know what you think of my number 2 theory, the hybrid console theory. My third and final theory is something that I don't necessarily think will happen, but if we were to take everything Nintendo has said about the NX at face value, it would make the most sense. You gotta remember, once again, ecosystem. The Nintendo NX is not supposed to replace the 3DS or the Wii U. So what the hell could it be? I think it could be something that bridges the two systems together, sort of a hardware add-on. Now, I know those kind of have a bad stigma because of the 32X and the Sega CD, but if you really look at the 32X and the Sega CD, those were pretty interesting things. Sega just didn't really put the needs behind it to make it successful. The 32X especially, because the 32X essentially took the 16-bit Genesis and turned it into a 32-bit console. And that was pretty impressive. There was a lot of games that actually utilized that. The problem was that the Saturn was right around the corner, and it was even released. So why the hell would you buy the 32X? It didn't really make sense, and Sega kind of sent it out to die. Now Nintendo themselves have done things like this. You have to look at the Game Boy to Game Boy Color, the DS to DSi, the 3DS to the 3DS XL, even the jumper pack for the Nintendo 64. So Nintendo's not necessarily against adding something onto a system. Follow me on this. What if the Nintendo NX was something like the PlayStation TV, a sort of a digital service, but it actually had meat behind it? You gotta remember, there's a lot of ports on the Wii U that aren't even being used. If you could combine the Wii U with a 10 million install base and the 3DS with a 53 million install base, and have a system that can do something for both of them, that can add on to both of them, that would be pretty damn cool, wouldn't it? Think about it like this. More than likely the Nintendo NX, whatever it is going to play Wii U games. So why not have something like this, for instance, let's say. The Nintendo NX can plug into the Wii U, alright? And now you have access to both the Wii U, the Wii, and the Nintendo NX on one system. Now there could be two SKUs, one that comes with a lighter, smaller gamepad, and one that doesn't, so that if you already own a Nintendo Wii U, you have access to the gamepad and you're already good to go. So that could be a much lower price point. It can use the same digital media, it can use the same CDs, because, you know, that's all it really needs, and it could just be really beefed up. You can have the 3DS, we've seen the 3DS be used as a controller for Super Smash Bros. Why can't it do more than that? Why can't there be some sort of connection between all three platforms? That's what I would like to see. I don't think a traditional home console from Nintendo is really going to cut the mustard, because the PS4 has already sold so many units, the Xbox One is pretty stable as well. What can Nintendo really do to bring back people? Make something creative. So, those are my three Nintendo NX theories. Let me know what you guys think of them. I know they're kind of off the wall and kind of crazy, but what the hell do you think the Nintendo NX is going to be? Because as of right now, nobody really knows. So let me know in the comments section. Be sure to like the video, and I'll see you guys next week. Later.